Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing the movie Stand By Me, made in 1986, and we bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, Ryan Preston, and Jeff Michael. So who has a description of this movie?
Oh.
That's you, apparently.
Okay.
Tag,
so Stand By Me, made in 1986. After the death of a friend, a writer recounts a boyhood journey to find the body of a missing boy.
Okay.
I think I just made Ryan's head hurt.
Or jealous.
Anyway, no, this is a good movie. You know, it's directed by Rob Reiner, who's a really great director, actor, writer. I really do got a lot of respect for Rob Reiner.
Yeah, Rob Reiner's the fucking man as far as I'm concerned.
He's kind of a meathead.
Really?
Well, you know.
All right, Archie. Anyway, but this is actually based off a Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
And Stephen King back in the 80s
No, it was a
and early
novelette,
90s.
wasn't it? It wasn't a novel. I thought it was a novelette. Novella.
Well, anyway, but, you know, Stephen King has a lot of good stories like that. And Rob Reiner also did Misery.
Dramatic, straightforward stories.
Yeah, other than, you know, like Pet Sematary and The Shining and...
Well, that's how what Shawshank was. It was another novella.
Right. Wasn't Green Mile done by him, too?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I was going to say that the one thing that stands out in this movie is the cast, because you've actually seen the four main people all later on actually do fairly really well.
Yeah, this is right before Will Wheaton did the Star Trek.
Star Trek. This was a year before. I think it was. He
Right.
became Wesley Crusher in 1987.
Yep, that's correct.
Because you have River Phoenix, who, you know, I think his last movie everybody knows him for is the Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade.
That's the one that everybody remembers. Yeah, I think he did one maybe another couple of years after, but he died in, what, 93, I think?
Yeah,
I
something
think so.
like that. Right around there.
I think I heard recently that his last film is recently going to be released or has been released.
I heard the same thing. I think it was just this last year.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have a date on his death, but he was 23.
And you have
he was 23.
You have Corey Feldman, who doesn't do much now, but was really big in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah. And you have Jerry O'Connell, who, you know, I think biggest claim to fame is Sliders, whether you like that or not.
I liked it.
I liked Sliders. I'm a Sliders geek. I'll say that.
I mean, there was moments of the show where it got really campy and strange.
Oh, it was campy as hell, but it was...
I don't know. I liked him better in My Secret Identity.
Ah, yes. Yep.
I think it was the concept of Sliders that got me.
Well, the concept of Sliders is pretty interesting. Anyway,
I thought that the interesting thing about this was the difference between the all four characters. You know, you have was it River Phoenix and Will Wheaton's characters were fairly similar, and the Corey Feldman and Jerry O'Connell's character were similar. Those were the two that really stuck out because Will Wheaton and River Phoenix, you know, they were kind of buddies, you know, and River Phoenix was telling him, hey, you better not do this. You don't want to be a loser. That was the difference that really struck out my mind, is that, you know, you have two diametrically opposed groups that are actually friends.
Yeah, I thought it was...
but it's at the same time, I always thought it was a dynamic of friendship that a lot of people can relate to. Like,
totally.
Everybody sort of has that type of relationship. I mean, it was kind of a really honest look at the type of friendships you had when you're 12 years old.
And I think everybody knew the Corey Feldman character. I mean, I can think of at least one person in real life that school grew up with.
Definitely.
Okay, the characters, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that, you know, you wonder if he's going to go to jail for doing something stupid.
Right.
And generally he did.
Yeah, pretty much.
Generally.
But, you know, I like the fact that, I mean, they bring up that, like you're kind of saying, there's like the bonding thing. And it's always, and I really got to say there was a lot of the kind of playback and how they picked on each other but stood up for each other too.
Yeah.
Was actually how real friendships are. The one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit was, I mean, the way that Will Wheaton's character was so close to his brother, his older brother. I was never that close to my brother. They never were that nice.
Well, I think if you actually...
That was the one that threw me for a loop.
There was an age gap there.
Yeah, that was the thing I thought.
Did, I think, help that out a little bit.
But see,
I also think another thing that... Hold on, John. I'm just going to finish my point. Is that if you look at the way that his relationship to his parents were, older brother kind of saw that and kind of
Yeah.
stood up for him and was like, okay, you need actually somebody to come alongside of you and to kind of try to get you in the direction of where your life should be going.
That was, I think, what I noticed was because I agree with James, because his parents were all about his.
Wasn't that Cusack that was playing?
Yeah,
that?
Wicked Young John Cusack.
Yeah.
Because his parents were all about his, his older brother. It's like, oh, you did this, you're doing that. Hey, you know, there's scouts out there, And then when he died, you notice that his dad was saying, "You should die, not your son," and he was really left alone.
Well, he's more like, why don't you have friends like him?
But yeah, I mean, it was sort of, you can tell that was sort of the cornerstone of that family, and you know what I mean. It was
and everybody. It seemed like every adult in the movie brought it up. Hey, you're what's his name's brother, aren't you? It's like,
that's another thing that's really true about just life in general. I mean, small town kind of thing. You have a brother who's high school quarterback like that. I mean, where these towns sort of revolve around their high school football team.
Yeah.
Especially places like Texas. I mean,
Right.
these small towns live for.
The thing. Oh, sorry.
No, but I lost my train of thought. No. That's the thing is you're always. If you're the little brother, it's like, oh, you're so-and-so's brother. You're always kind of, like, known as that guy. You don't even have a first name. You're so-and-so's brother.
Yeah.
The thing I think is cool, though, this is, because it's within that, within 10 to 15 years, you have movies that are similar. I mean, you had this, you had Goonies. I mean, far as even
Lost Boys.
Yeah. I'd even say Sandlot to a little bit because of the dynamic, the way people work.
Yeah, I see Sandlot a lot. That's another.
I was going to say this is very comparable to Sandlot, the storytelling way, the narration of it and everything, and kind of unfolds into like a fairy tale or just a normal story.
Well,
not
it's
a fairy
journey
tale, but
for
it's
a
journey
for
for
young
a child.
kids.
Yeah.
And I got to say, sorry.
A coming of age tale, basically.
It's the quintessential coming of age tale. And that's the thing is when they came out with the Sandlot, that was probably 93, 94.
93.
Right, this was way previous.
But it was almost meant to be sort of the next generation Stand By Me type of movie. But it's amazing, like even as a kid, like I'd watch Stand By Me, I could have swore that movie was made the year before, you know what I mean? Because how easily relatable it was. And I mean, this is an R-rated movie. I mean,
it holds up really well no matter what generation sees it. I think.
Exactly. It's still, it was such an honest look at, that kind of friendship and just sort of these kids against the world kind of thing that, anybody at that age could relate.
There is one thing in this movie that I don't think you'll ever see in movies like this again, was they had a gun.
No, the smoking.
Yeah, and they were smoking.
Oh, yeah, they were smoking.
I think, because I saw the scene with a gun, and they're waving it all around and aiming
no
at his
trigger
friends
control.
with no trigger control.
But it's realistic as to when you were. I know I was dumb as hell when I was young with other kids. Dude, if we could get our hands on a BB gun, we'd be doing the same thing.
I'd be shooting my friends with it.
Sorry,
right?
Sorry,
we were smoking. We were,
Yeah, I wasn't that way with a gun because I would have gotten the crap kicked out of me. But that was the part to me that stood out in this movie. Going, this is the difference between the 80s and 90s. Was the smoking wouldn't be allowed and the gun would definitely not be allowed.
I mean,
I'd say late 90s, not early 90s.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
To bring up the Sandlot again, there was the scene in the Sandlot where they got the dip, and they all had the dip.
Yep.
Entire PSA on why, dip is bad. Remember when they all threw up? On the little merry-go-round that they were on. It was like, hey, don't do this, kids. And this one, it was like...
That was kind of realistic about their first trip with dip.
I think that'd make anybody throw up.
I do love the journey, though. My favorite part about this is their journey. And, it really wasn't that long for them. It was like a car drive, but you had these 4 boys just walking, like the trip through the junkyard and...
Well, I like the train scene
too.
Yeah, where he's standing for the camera. Take on this train. It's like
the most
idiot.
I love the most epic train dodge.
Yeah,
I loved it. They jumped off the trestle. I was thinking, okay, they hit water. Nope.
No.
That landed would have hurt.
Oh yeah, and that was filmed in Oregon.
Yeah.
Most of this film was actually done in Oregon.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I like you said, I wasn't really appreciative of the lack of trigger control, but that is kind of how kids are when you first hand them a gun.
Oh yeah.
But I did like the fact that
You know what really takes me out of this movie?
He's sitting there and he's holding the gun, and then he points it. He's like, "Is it loaded?"
Yeah.
And she comes out, "You kids and your cherry bombs." It's like, you got away with a lucky one there,
right?
Now you'd be labeled a terrorist.
You know what?
If you had a
Another
cherry
thing,
bomb.
that's what reminded me is remember how loud and explosive firecrackers used to be?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was another thing that was
You could buy, like, they had to outlaw cherry bombs because they did go off like a gunshot.
yeah.
Well, and that was my point too. It's like you could get away with a lot more back then as opposed to now. If you were a kid and you were like, haha, cherry bomb at 20, you'd be a terrorist, and they would like lock you up till you were 26 or
Think
something.
about the amount of food that he got for, what was it, like $1 or something?
It was like $2.
Yeah,
Took about
and he had
$2.
change, and
Yeah.
he could get Cokes.
Yeah.
you can still get Coke. That product is still available.
Yeah, but not four Cokes for under $2.
Yeah,
and
just-
a bunch
yeah.
of meat.
Yeah,
yeah,
you'd walk in there now and be able to buy one Coke.
yeah.
right.
But
Yeah.
$2
Not
and
even
get,
one
like,
because of tax.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
tax would ruin you.
Yeah, this movie is, to me, was a trip because you've got 80s style storytelling with a 1950s sensibility to it.
Right.
Everything about this movie is just, it's a trip. You're watching it going, oh my God, it's Will Wheaton, Corey Feldman, and all these guys. And
Yeah.
I actually liked Kiefer Sutherland in this movie.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is back when he played the jerk role.
He did it really well.
Well, he
Well,
did
because
do the jerk
he
role.
has that look on his face that just makes him look kind of angry.
It was
Like
the
an
blonde.
ass.
It's the
Especially when he was
blonde.
young.
I just thought was one of his gang members, was it a brother of one of the four?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the brother of River Phoenix's character.
Chambers, yeah.
Oh,
Chris
okay.
Chambers.
Because I remember hearing him say
okay.
brother, and I didn't connect who he was talking
Yeah, he was the
to.
one that took Will Wheaton's hat.
Okay, yeah.
He was just going to stand there and watch Ace kill his brother.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's see, was that I'm trying to figure out which one that was. I don't remember who that was.
Oh, I do have a thought. They were walking across the train tracks singing the Paladin TV theme to it. My whole thought during that whole thing is, I was wondering at the time if they had any idea what they were actually singing.
Yeah, I think they did. Well, you meant the actual character.
As far as the reference?
Yeah, the actual
Actors.
actors. Because I was saying that out loud when I was watching it with somebody, and she's like, "What are you talking about? That's Paladin."
Yeah.
That show was over way before they were born.
Yeah.
You never know. They might have. I mean, they had decent
Maybe
parents who
the
let them
show-
watch.
the time he
Rob
wrote it, I
Reiner
guess.
probably sat him down, was like, "Look, this is it. Learn the song."
Right?
Yeah. Anyway, but I thought that was a nice little throw in there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Well, all the music in this movie was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking Lollipop. I mean, every time I watch this movie, I'm singing it along with the damn movie.
I'm glad I wasn't watching it with you then. That'd be a little
Wait,
awkward.
you don't hear that?
I would have been looking right at you.
He's all getting into it. I'm like, I gotta go.
Lollipop.
You sit your ass back down, Jeff. You sing this song.
You sit down.
Make the pop. You make the pop.
That trigger control.
Use your trigger finger.
Oh, this movie is. This is such a flashback, though. This is one of those movies that, man, you wish you could go back in time and watch again as a kid. Because as a kid, you're like, dude, I wish I could do that.
Well,
This
not
is
to-
something you let your kid watch too.
Not to mention, I wish I could do that, but like really specifically deep down, it was like, oh shit, that's how I am with my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as soon as we're outside of the earshot of adults, we're cussing at each other and busting each other's balls. You know what I mean? And it was just, like I said, it was just really honest as far as the relationships.
Yeah, and
how good was the acting for a bunch of freaking 15-year-old kids?
Right.
Yeah.
That was the one thing watching it again.
Jerry O'Connell actually did a really good job. I mean, it was the fat kid, but like he did a good job. You were like, damn.
You
poor
know,
fat
I
kid.
do got to say, I like like you're saying, is the acting was really good because the closer they got to their goal, you saw that how the transition became more serious.
Yeah, and the personality and the people who really clicked with each other.
Yeah, and then when they all finally see the dead body of the boy, and they all just really change and actually turn and feel for this kid who actually died. Kinda...
Well, I love at the end when they're walking back into town. The narrator has a line that says something to the effect of, we were walking back into the town, and for some reason it just felt smaller.
Yeah.
And it just after 2 days, you know what I mean? They've only been gone 2 days and walked, 20 miles outside of town.
Yeah.
Right.
But that was enough to just sort of open everybody's like eyes to like, oh shit, this is a small town. There's more to it than this. You know what I mean? That's when River Phoenix's character and Will Wheaton, are sitting there talking to each other like, we got to get out of here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I actually think the standout role in this one is River Phoenix.
I agree.
I really think
this is the one that everybody thought like, oh, this kid's going to be a star, and then he tragically dies at 23 years old.
Because I remember, like, after watching it literally thinking, damn. Because I think out of everybody in this movie, his is the acting that I remember most. His interaction with Will Wheaton when they're sitting on the log and Will Wheaton's crying and he's saying, dude, you can't get stuck here and such. I always remember
you're smarter than all of us.
I remember thinking that, going, wow, this is actually really, really well done.
Yeah, and then you look at, the way that River Phoenix actually passed off, cocaine and morphine will do that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of pathetic because a lot of great actors died like that, along with a
ton
musicians as well in that time. Anyway, but really great actors came out of this. I don't think Wheaton's really done too much after.
Well,
he's done a lot of well, obviously, he had a hell of a run on Next Gen.
Yeah, he did.
He probably made so much money he doesn't have to work again.
Well, I'm sure he had to, run out of that. But it's in syndication, so of course he's still taking up cash from that. But he's done a lot of stuff. He was on this an internet show called The Guild.
Yeah,
which is really, really funny. But yes, he's done a lot of web-based material as of late.
And he's done a lot of really kind of geek stuff. He's not in the mainstream.
No, but he's a geek fucking like patriarch.
But he's done stuff on Leverage, Big Bang Theory, Eureka, Ben 10, Ultimate Alien, which is a cartoon.
He has a show on a YouTube channel called Geek and Sundry that basically does tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons, and it's just him playing games with his friends.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that he actually turned around and started doing that type of stuff, which is cool. But as far as like blockbuster kind of movies and I guess network syndicated shows, not so much.
I'll be honest, I don't think he I don't think he would survive outside of that because he's in his niche. As far as being a geek, I think it would have to be something very specific for him to really make it. Like for example, if they brought back a Star Trek and they wanted his character back, I think
be a captain.
I think he would do really well, but I don't know if a lot of people really remember Will Wheaton.
Even from this as a kid, you can tell he's a good enough actor to pull some stuff off. But like you said, he's got his niche, and I think he's sort of just enjoying the type of success that he has currently.
Oh, I completely agree. And I was going to say, as far as rating this movie, I got to go to 4 out of 5. It's not quite a 5 for me, maybe because I didn't see it as a kid. Maybe there's not the nostalgia factor for me, but the acting is amazing. The visuals, the way they did it, everything about this movie is actually extremely well done, especially since most of the movie's done with kids. It's amazing.
I agree. I give it a 4 out of 5. It was one of those ones. I did watch it as a kid, so growing up, it was like I've seen this movie 30 times. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it was really good, very well done, very well acted. A lot of it's funny to see where certain people started out in their careers too. And I'm not a Stephen King fan at all, but I love this film. I like this story.
I love his non-horror, because I love Shawshank stuff
like
that.
I agree with you on that. I think he's a better non-horror writer than he is a horror writer.
I'd love to see more of his dramas made.
I agree and I disagree. I think more of his dramas and stories have stood out over his horrors. But I think there are a few horrors, not enough to be a handful, but there are horrors that stand out.
The one I gotta give him is The Shining, but other than that, it's a killer car, and a girl that gets mad at prom and kills everybody. That's you got to be careful with that nowadays. Then she's going to be the next, Columbine or whatever.
But the thing about that is you got to realize though those are his movies though. If you're going to talk about Stephen King though, it's the movies that aren't made of his books. that I think are the ones
Yeah.
that stand out more, because I
Yeah.
think the ones that have made are the least common denominator in some ways.
Yeah,
Because
well, I
you-
mean, I'm not really into his Pet Cemeteries. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them are fun for like just kind of messing around. Let's just watch this, type thing. But for the most part, yeah, I agree with you. The Shining was really great. I actually did like the car one. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Christine.
Right?
Yeah.
Christine. Thank you. But there are a few of his
Ooh,
that
and
stand out,
Legaliers
but they're
was
not even close
okay,
to as
yeah.
many of his dramas that stand
Yeah.
out.
yeah.
Well, when he makes dramas, they're everybody likes a drama, and really you get half the people that even would go see a horror movie in the first place. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
kind of cuts your viewership in half just by virtue of the fact that it's a horror movie.
But I mean,
he's just really good at putting humans in stories. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like actually making it, feel
Believable.
Yeah.
real.
It makes you care for the
What,
characters.
what
yeah.
about your
Yeah.
rating, James? What would you,
I agree with you guys. It's a 4. Would love to give it a 5, but I just don't feel.
it's not. Yeah, it's
with
not
that.
quite.
That's kind of
there.
where it's at. There's nothing against me giving it, but except for the fact that I reserve 5s for spectacular,
Yeah.
type thing.
What about you, Ryan? What's your?
Almost exactly what James said. I reserve the 5s, you know what I mean, for the really
I
standout
agree.
movies in my head. And this is standout for a bunch of reasons, specifically the acting. I thought, especially watching it this time, it was just like, man, like, damn, these kids are good. Like, better than average.
Now, can I?
Even
Yeah.
for kids of their age.
Now, my question is for you: is how much nostalgia factor kicks in you? Because I never saw this as a kid.
I mean, a lot. Like, I watched it as a kid, but as an adult, like now watching it, it wasn't like, oh, I remember watching this movie as a kid. It was, oh shit, I remember being a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really, instead of taking me back to watching the movie as a youngster, it was like, oh, I remember my friends at that age.
I totally
You know what I
agree.
mean?
with
So
you
it
on that
invoked
one.
that kind of nostalgia.
Totally agree.
So for that, I mean, yeah, total 4 out of 5. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
I want to clarify a little bit more. There's nothing that takes this movie from not being a 5. I mean, the story's spectacular, the acting's spectacular, the cinematography's really there. I mean, as John would say, the color palette's even really appropriate for this movie.
I haven't said that in months.
That's
I'm
because
getting
everybody
shit
else
for
has been saying it before you get a chance to.
Right. I think I took it from him like twice. Yeah.
Nope, I
But
refuse to say it.
There's just it just doesn't reach that 5 level. Is
See,
what I'm kind of saying.
No, I agree, and it's not something that I could specifically, like you said, could name. It's just not quite there.
Yeah, there's not something that takes away. Like
Yeah.
the acting isn't poor. There's nothing that is detrimental to this movie. There's nothing bad or negative that I can really say.
It's just not there.
It's just not there.
I totally agree.
So
Completely agree.
anyway,
And this is the section where we generally have movie news, and I was wondering if Ryan, if you had anything.
Well, oh, yeah, you know what? About 10 minutes ago, I realized, oh shit, I picked a
no
movie.
way!
Wow!
So
Gold star to Ryan.
What a
scanning down
surprise!
my computer trying to find something interesting. As we're recording this, as we're recording this right now, last night was the series finale of Breaking Bad. I know
Don't
there's
you
a bunch
say
of people out there who
anything.
still haven't seen it, so I'm not going to jump in any kind of
Spoilers.
spoilers. But
Wait a minute. We spoil the crap out of movies, but you don't.
No.
I want to
will
hear what he's
walk
going
out
Shut
right
up,
now.
movies. Fuck
I
that.
will walk out.
I want to hear where he's going
Okay,
with this.
shh.
No, but 10.3 million viewers
Oh wow,
is what they pulled in last night, and in this
that's amazing.
age where look, back in the day, when you had 4 fucking channels, it was really easy to get a 35 share, you know what I mean, out of 100%, you know what I'm saying, of people. Nowadays, if you get 1 million viewers, you're the greatest show ever made.
And but I think there's something you're forgetting to mention. This is a cable channel. This isn't the alphabet soup channels. This is
cable. AMC came out of the left field with shows like this and Walking Dead, but this came before. And I mean, basically, nobody's ever pulled anything off like this for something in deep cable like this. At 10.3 million viewers.
I mean, this
Yeah.
this has
It's
to
really
set some
insane.
sort of record.
Oh yeah, they passed like NBC and all those.
Well,
Sure, yeah, they beat everything last night.
What-
I mean,
one thing I was
were
gonna
parties.
mention-
They had, over here in Los Angeles, they had a party, a going away party at Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Yeah, I heard about that actually.
Yeah, with Aaron Paul, the guy that played Jesse Pinkman, threw it for a charity organization. But it was freaking huge. Everybody in freaking Los Angeles turned out.
He's
You know, it'd be kinda cool.
Need for
Los
Speed
Angeles
movie.
gets out their ass for anything.
it'd be kind of cool if they gave out like little tiny bags of like rock candy that was colored blue.
Actually, dude, on BreakingBad.com, there's the box set that actually comes in one of the barrels that Walt hides his money. It's the amount of shit you can buy on their Heisenberg T-shirts. It's pretty fucking awesome.
One of the things I was going to mention is that this is one of the few shows that I actually watched the end of the show, and after the credits, they had a website they could go to AMC. And it's AMC Thank You Breaking Bad, and you can put thank you comments for watching this show. Now hold on, let's think about what this show is about.
Yeah.
And we're thanking them for this show?
What was it? my favorite comment, I forgot who said it, but there's a celebrity saying, thanks to this show, I know how to cook meth.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I forget who that was.
Jesse Pinkman on the show is going to be in the new Need for Speed movie, too.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how good... Yeah,
he's going to be a drug runner.
I was going to say, the rest of his career, he's going to be stuck playing a stupid meth head.
You know, the one thing I do have to say about this show, because I've watched it from start to finish, and I assume Ryan has. Jeff is almost finished, but he's not
I
there.
just need the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, this isn't going to spoil anything for him, but I got to say, the character development in this show was really well done.
It was one of the best I've ever seen.
I mean, you really grow to despise some of these characters.
One of the best shows of all time, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is. Yeah. And for those of you who haven't really seen it, I'm pretty sure the first handful of episodes are still on Netflix, right?
Oh yeah.
I think almost the entire series.
I think they even have the first 5.5 seasons.
Yeah. I do have a question though. Kind of bring it back into the movie show. What do you think that this does that most movies nowadays don't? Most movies in the 2.5 hours don't have the development, don't have the love, don't have the hate. It's just a spectacle where in a series of episodes you really start hating this character.
Something you have to bring into your home every night.
I would say it's more like this. A TV series like this. How many seasons is this? 6?
It's like
season
4 or 5.
4 or 5. So this is like season 5 or something. Anyway, but each one is about 40 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you take that, they have a lot more airtime to work with than a movie does.
2 hours, 3 hours compared to
you can
40 hours.
You can spend a full season taking the audience and making them fall in love with this character.
And there's a couple of things.
Turn it around.
A couple of things that made it sort of better than most just by nature. One, it's a really kind of high concept show as far as we just want to take a high school chemist and turn him into Scarface.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a really easy thing to understand. You understand it from when somebody says, "Oh yeah, Breaking Bad. This high school chemist starts cooking meth." Oh shit, I want to watch that. You know what I mean? And then you watch it, but then obviously
it's weird. This show is like crack or heroin. It's extremely addicting.
Now here's the
thing is with the cancer aspect of it. Him having cancer, and that's why he starts doing this in the first place.
By the way, slowest cancer ever.
It has this finite
it explains on the show.
idea to it. Like it has to end somewhere.
Yeah.
Now here's the second part of the question. The reason I asked that was because you're right. This is long format. This show has a better way to explain, give you to love the character. Now, would you be willing to have more movies be 3.5 hours if they were good?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, if they were good. If they were bad, then that'd be
we can
terrible.
throw into this Braveheart, one of the longest movies ever.
Yeah,
Sure.
and Blood In, Blood Out. It's 4 hours. Or Bound by Honor, whatever it's called.
They do have movies like that, but if you put out a bunch of movies like that in theater, you're going to have to start bringing back intermissions because people are not going to sit in theater
that long
for that much of their day. I mean, if you have an hour a week, that's totally different.
Right, yeah.
Or you wait and you watch it on your own time.
As far as in the theaters, sometimes long movies are good. Sometimes people get tired of watching, 3 hours, sitting in a theater seat.
So I guess it's because we're all kind of movie geeks. The fact that I love long format movies like Open Range, you get to experience more the dynamic and the growth of the character. Maybe it's just
I mean, the attempt of movies to do something like this are sequels or trilogies, or if you look at Star Wars. Star Wars,
do I have to?
They're working on episode 7 right now, and that's something where they're trying to. They brought in the story of Anakin. That's basically what you're following in the first 6 is the story of Anakin, and the first 3 that, not the ones that were previously made, but the ones with what was he, NSYNC or whatever, the NSYNC boy, was it NSYNC or Backstreet Boys that
Timberlake?
Yeah, not Timberlake.
Who wasn't it? You're thinking,
who the heck was the guy that played Anakin the first 3?
Ewan McGregor, right?
That was no. That was he played Obi-Wan.
It was
in
John.
The first 3, the young kid.
Yeah, not the young kid, the teenage.
The teen. I don't remember.
I thought he was from a boy band. Anyway, but they screwed that up. So many people hate it because he screwed up, and I agree. There's some really bad acting that he pulls in there. So, you kind of lose that when you try to do that in movies because you're going to make a bad choice and you're stuck with it. So, lots of movies don't do that because sequels and prequels and all that crap get screwed up.
So it's really easy when you try to stretch something out to jump the shark.
Exactly.
Right, but I think it's hard to catch the attention of somebody in a theater for 4 hours. I mean, that takes a lot of work to get someone interested to say, okay, hey, this is a 4-hour movie, and be actually entertained the whole way through, where to the point where you're not going to want to get up. But I agree, you would have to have an intermission at that.
The other thing to put in there is that movies aren't released like sequentially. It's usually like a year or two that it takes for them to be released.
So it builds this suspense.
So then you have to go back and watch the other one again. So you kind of lose audiences who aren't going to be able to follow a story like that. So I mean, I think I like the way that they're doing TV shows now.
So this is going to be the rise of the miniseries,
exactly.
What was it? The one about the 101st Easy.
Yeah, Band of Brothers. I was going to mention Band of Brothers was like the really breakthrough miniseries that told an extensive story.
They just recently did the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah, that was a really good one too.
I can't remember what network it
History
was.
Channel.
The BBC has been doing this their entire broadcasting careers. Is they make 6 episodes of something and that's it. You know what I mean? Or they'll have, a series, they call their seasons the series. But anyway.
Except from Doctor Who, which they've continued since the beginning of time, which is awesome.
So
I am a geek. Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of our half hour. Actually, we've kind of beat it to death. Next week's pick is Jeff's pick.
Jeffrey.
So what movie are you picking?
Trainspotting, starring Ewan McGregor.
Been looking forward to this one.
So that's the pick that's the pick for next week. And just to remind you, I gave Stand By Me a 4 to 5. James gave it a 4 to 5. Ryan gave it a 4 to 5. Jeff gave it a 4 to 5. This is the rare chance that we actually agree the same rating on the same movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. And don't forget, we have a Facebook page. Make sure you drop us a line and tell us what you think, or if you have a movie that you're dying to have us review. See you next week.